reside near Yellowstone National Park, a haven that magnetizes millions of tourists annually. My intention in narrating this tale is not only to share an eerie experience, but to serve as a solemn warning, particularly for those contemplating a visit during the summer months. In the summer of 2020, my friends and I decided to venture out for a night of camping near a familiar spot we had frequented on numerous occasions. This decision unfolded in the aftermath of the world gradually regaining a semblance of normalcy, with lockdowns lifted. Eager to ensure everything was set up at the camp spot, I embarked on an early journey to secure our chosen location. Armed with all the necessary gear, I departed my house just before sunset. We planned to rendezvous within the hour, so the prospect of being alone didn't weigh heavily on my mind. As I commenced the 30-minute drive to the location, anticipation mingled with the shadows that grew longer. Upon arrival, a disconcerting revelation awaited me. My tent and all its contents had vanished. To provide context, I meticulously staked the tent down at multiple points, strategically placing rocks and other items both inside and out to secure it during my temporary absence. My sleeping bag and other essentials had also vanished without a trace. The eerie stillness of the wilderness added to the unsettling atmosphere, as there were no other campers in sight during my ascent. Compounding the situation, I was devoid of cell service miles deep into the wilderness. Determined to apprise my friends of this unsettling development, I reluctantly descended to an area with cell reception. Despite my frustration, my friends insisted I stay, not wanting to abandon weeks of meticulously planned enjoyment. After ensuring everyone had convened, I opted to explore the surroundings in search of clues or footprints that might hint at the presence of those who pilfered my belongings. Alas, my attempts proved futile, and I decided to postpone my investigation until daylight. In the interim, I resolved to report the incident to the Forest Service. As the night unfolded, a deceptive veneer of normalcy seemed to prevail, veiling the ominous events that lurked in the shadows. Around 1 or 2 in the morning, fatigue claimed most of my friends, prompting them to retire for the night. Pragmatically, I chose to spend the night in the protective confines of my truck, a decision that, in retrospect, became one of the wiser choices made that fateful night. Sleep, however, eluded me entirely, a lingering unease clinging to my senses. In the depths of the night, a sound pierced through the silence, causing me to jolt awake. Something sizable, something ominous, was moving outside our camp. I lay frozen, ears straining to discern the source of the noise. The initial suspicion of a bear roaming the vicinity was validated by its sizable movements. Intriguingly, there were no accompanying sounds of nocturnal creatures, no chirping crickets, no rustling leaves. The all-encompassing silence heralded a foreboding presence. After what felt like an eternity, the noises ceased, and I attempted to dispel my paranoia, convincing myself it was just my imagination. Just as the tendrils of slumber began to reclaim me, an unsettling sight shattered my fragile peace. To the right of our campsite, near the extinguished fire pit, stood a figure, just a few yards away from me. A ghastly sight greeted my eyes, a person adorned in a mask. This wasn't an ordinary mask. It was a deer skull, grotesquely covering their face. Clad in a black robe, the figure emanated an otherworldly aura. Panic surged through my veins as I grappled with the reality of a stranger, masked and shrouded in darkness, intruding upon our campsite in the dead of night. Refraining from leaving the safety of my truck, I opted for a subtler yet urgent approach. Engaging my truck's engine and blaring the horn, I sought to rouse my slumbering friends. The eerie scene unfolded before me. The figure remained motionless, a silent sentinel in the eerie wilderness. What transpired next catapulted this night into the realms of unrelenting horror. As the blare of my truck's horn reverberated through the silent night, more figures materialized amidst the trees, clad in similar black robes, each sporting a grotesque mask. They emerged into view, a surreal procession of masked entities. Their intentions, shrouded in malevolence, encircled our campsite. Panic engulfed me as I accelerated in reverse, desperate to distance myself from this nightmarish congregation. The figures, undeterred by my escape, pursued relentlessly, revealing a distorted semblance of humanity beneath the grotesque masks. A haunting spectacle unfolded, with rocks hurled at my truck and figures giving chase, their ominous presence escalating to a crescendo. As I hurtled down the road, a trio of figures with a dog joined the pursuit, their pursuit growing increasingly aggressive. The pursuit, fraught with peril, reached a climax as I narrowly evaded their advances and left them in the rearview mirror. Only one figure remained, lingering behind a tree, their eyes boring into mine. The malevolent visage, etched into my memory, serves as a perpetual reminder of that night's horrors. Over a year has elapsed since that harrowing encounter, and an unspoken pact among my friends has kept the events locked away, confined to the recesses of our collective psyche. The passage of time has not dulled the terror, and a chilling realization lingers, the possibility that those masked figures were part of some dark cult. Echoes of similar stories, of inexplicable disappearances and barbaric occurrences, ripple through the eerie secrets concealed within the majestic expanse of Yellowstone National Park. To those who embark on journeys into such enigmatic and preserved realms of intrinsic beauty, a cautionary whisper emerges: arm yourself with protection, inform others of your plans, and never traverse these lands alone. These preserved parks, ostensibly abodes of natural wonder, harbor a dichotomy that eludes the casual observer. The words of a former Green Beret echo through the ages. Survival hinges on perpetual awareness and a vigilant connection to instinct. When the fabric of reality unravels and unease permeates the air, trust your instincts, for within the tapestry of nature, there exist forces that defy comprehension. Stay vigilant, stay safe. My mother served in the army many years ago. After her military service, she felt a void in her heart that she later filled with a newfound love for camping and hiking. For 6 years now, my mom has been an avid camper, planning her hiking and camping trips each year. Despite her army background, being prepared is second nature to her. Her camping companion, my brother, joins her on these adventures. They are so well known in the little town before heading into the mountains that locals affectionately refer to them as the mom who hikes with her son. Living with my dad, I usually visit them over the summer. Last year marked my final hiking and camping expedition with them, and honestly, I detest those mountains and the mysteries concealed within the woods. The mountains in question are Pine Creek Gorge, also known as the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. The trail, the West Rim Trail, spans 30 miles. My mom, always up for a challenge, proposed setting a new record for us, completing the 30-mile trail in under 47 hours. Without much hesitation, I agreed, though deep down, I couldn't fathom my mom's audacity. We began our journey, parking our car at the trail's starting point, Brady Wall's picnic area, and embarked on a daunting trek that would lead us to Rattlesnake Rock. After reaching that point, an additional 10-mile hike awaited us. leading to a small town where we could refuel with sandwiches and soda and arrange for our ride back to Brady Wall's picnic area. Halfway through our hike, as darkness fell, we needed to set up camp. Fortunately, we found ourselves at a designated campsite, elevated in the mountains, offering a panoramic view surrounded by dense woods. My mom and I swiftly set up the tent, while my brother handled the interior. We changed into our makeshift PJs, started a substantial fire to ward off animals and insects, and prepared and consumed our food. Afterward, my mom hung up the food bag in a tree to protect it from wildlife, a detail that would prove crucial later. As we settled in for the night, an unsettling event occurred. I woke up in the pitch-black night, disoriented and blurry-eyed for reasons I couldn't comprehend. That's when I heard a peculiar sound akin to a deep, animalistic call, reminiscent of a porcupine but more bird-like. Lasting about 5 minutes, the eerie noise was accompanied by shuffling around our tent as if something or someone was approaching. The sounds ceased, followed by the unmistakable sound of water pouring. It dawned on me that something or someone was urinating near our tent on my side. As shuffling continued around our campsite, I saw my mom upright in the tent, asking in a hushed tone if I heard it too. Confirming my unease, we waited in tense silence. My mom, armed with a machete, bare mace, and a branded flashlight, ventured outside to investigate. Meanwhile, my brother remained blissfully asleep. My mind raced with uncertainty. What was outside? Was my mom safe? Should I prepare for a fight or flee? After what felt like an eternity, my mom returned, assuring me she saw nothing. We returned to the tent, but sleep eluded my mom and me. The notion of an unseen presence in the woods lingered. In the distance, a pack of coyotes howled, and my mind conjured images of skinwalker stories. Exhaustion eventually overcame me, and I drifted back to sleep. Upon waking, my first instinct was to investigate the spot where I heard the mysterious urination. To my shock, the area was still wet, emitting a strong scent of urine. After dressing, using the bathroom in the woods, eating, and packing up, we resumed our mountain hike. About 11 miles from our last stop, during an early noon break, my mom reached for the food bag. Upon opening it, she discovered that half of our food was gone. Wide-eyed and speechless, she admitted to not being entirely honest with me. She had seen something that led her to use the bear mace. When my mom exited the tent that night, she heard footsteps near the tree where the food hung. Illuminating the area with her flashlight, she caught sight of a tall, shadowy figure resembling a man. Instinctively, she sprayed the bear mace, prompting the intruder to flee toward our tent. My mom continued spraying until the figure retreated into the dark woods. Returning to the tree, she saw the food bag still swinging, assuming it was just a person playing a prank. Despite her explanation, doubts lingered. The strange sounds, the tall figure, the lack of coughing when sprayed with bear mace, and the disappearance of our food raised unsettling questions. The incident left an indelible mark on our hike, underscoring the eerie mystery that unfolded in the heart of those mountains. We completed our hike, and as tradition dictates, I stood on the bridge separating us from the town, shouting my disdain toward the mountains before retreating to the safety of the town. The woods, a realm of both beauty and fear, left me unharmed but haunted by the enigma that lurked within. It was the chilling year of 1998 when fate led me into a horrifying camping experience that would haunt me for years. An old friend, seemingly oblivious to the sinister events that would unfold, invited me on a camping trip. Having not camped since my childhood, I hesitantly agreed, enticed by the promise of adventure. Little did I know that my excitement would soon transform into terror. The week leading up to the trip was filled with an ominous sense of foreboding, yet I dismissed it as mere nerves. The night before the expedition, sleep eluded me as my subconscious seemed to wrestle with an impending darkness. At the ungodly hour of 5 a.m., my friend arrived, and we embarked on a 100-mile journey to the ominous park that would be the stage for our unsettling ordeal. The first semblance of unease manifested when my friend revealed the true extent of our trek, an additional 2 hours on foot to reach the campsite. Despite my feeble attempts to dissuade him from choosing a more accessible location, he insisted that the distant site held an allure that would compensate for the arduous journey. With a sense of dread lurking in my heart, I followed him. The initial half hour was deceptively uneventful as the trail descended gently. However, with each passing moment, a creeping lethargy enveloped me. By the time we reached the halfway point, a brief respite did little to revive my waning energy. The second leg of the journey, ominously uphill, drained the last vestiges of strength from my weary limbs. Fatigue clouded my judgment, and I became oblivious to my surroundings. A seemingly flat section greeted us, offering a false sense of relief. It was at this point that my world turned upside down, both figuratively and literally. Unbeknownst to my friend, and myself for that matter, a malicious trap awaited in that seemingly benign terrain. The trap, cunningly disguised, captured me in its clutches, plunging me into an abyss of pain and despair. As I plummeted into the depths of the pit, my world descended into chaos. The abrupt contact with the bottom of the hole jolted me awake, adrenaline surging through my veins, temporarily muting the excruciating pain. However, the momentary relief gave way to an even more gruesome reality. My right leg, the victim of a cruel twist of fate, bore witness to a bone grotesquely protruding from my shattered shin. The pit, a diabolical creation, seemed to extend into the bowels of the earth, and I wondered if it had taken days for its sadistic architects to construct. My desperate pleas for assistance echoed through the abyss, met only by the haunting laughter of my friend, who had unwittingly led me into this hellish trap. My friend's initial amusement morphed into terror as he comprehended the severity of my injuries. Frantic attempts to extricate me failed, leaving me stranded in the pit, alone with my pain and growing despair. The realization dawned upon me salvation lay beyond the reach of our makeshift rescue attempts. With the day still in its infancy, I clung to the hope that help would soon arrive. Left to confront my agonizing solitude, waves of pain surged through me, accompanied by bouts of debilitating nausea. Thoughts of fashioning a splint dissipated as the pain threatened to overwhelm me. I was left to endure the torment, my only solace lying in the sporadic moments of respite. As the day unfolded, thunderous echoes pierced the air, and an ominous darkness eclipsed the sky. A storm, fueled by malevolence, bore down upon me. Initially dismissive of the impending rain, I scoffed at the idea that a mere downpour could worsen my dire situation. Little did I fathom the true horror that awaited. The rain, initially a drizzle, intensified into a relentless deluge, each drop a malevolent messenger from the abyss. Unbeknownst to me, the pit began to fill with water, submerging my feet in its icy grip. I clawed out at the walls, desperation driving me to ascend, but the rising water impeded my futile efforts. Within minutes, my entire body was ensnared by the frigid water, the pit threatening to become my watery grave. An hour elapsed in an excruciating dance with the elements. As the storm temporarily abated, the water level, now only at my shins, offered a deceptive lull. The illusion shattered as the storm resumed with newfound fury. The rain, a malevolent symphony, conspired with the pit to torment me further. An hour passed, an eternity of suffering, until salvation finally manifested in the form of approaching help. The water, now inches below my belt, had nearly consumed me. As the ropes hoisted me from the abyss, a visceral fear of drowning lingered. The realization that I had narrowly escaped a watery demise in a desolate hole in the wilderness sent shivers down my spine. The journey to the hospital, marked by the numbing aftermath of a surgery that implanted screws and plates, felt like a surreal reprieve. 8 weeks on crutches would follow, each day a reminder of the twisted ordeal. Though the camping trip with my friend was lost to the annals of the past, the scars, both physical and psychological, remained etched in my memory. The camaraderie we once shared is now replaced by the haunting specter of that fateful day. The wilderness, once a source of allure, now harbored a malevolence that left me questioning the very fabric of reality. As I contemplate reconnecting with my friend after years of silence, a camping trip seems eerie, inviting a resurgence of dormant fears and unanswered questions. Perhaps this time, I'll keep my eyes open and beware of the hidden horrors lurking in the depths of the wild.